Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Toilets and Titles. My name is Justin Stevens, and I'm back with you with another bonus episode. I have no idea what to call this bonus episode, but we're going to, for now, the really long title is going to be at the bottom. Eric Belair, Scott Fishbowl, absolute zero running back bonus episode. Before we get to all that, I do want to say you can find our main show, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and When a Family Breaks, which is our Facebook page where we buy and sell sports memorabilia. Down at the bottom, you're going to see the scroll that's begging me begging you to hit that like and subscribe to help with our buttons, our numbers, our algorithms. And also it talks about that 5-star Apple review. Go on to Apple, click the 5-star review, screenshot it, DM it to us, and you can get an automatic invite into our Frankenstank Listeners League. It's a 3-copy league. It's a massive monster, $25 to enter. But we also are going to draw for one random free entry for the Frankenstank out of those 5-star reviews. So just something to think about. Another way to support us is on our patreon.com/Toilets and Titles right down there at the bottom. Now at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the scroll that has all the Twitter handles for all the guys that work so hard on our team. And, of course, at Toilets and Titles. So let's get right into it. Our guest today is Eric Belair, at Eric Belair. Eric, how's it going?
Going all right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. So I'm happy about today's show because you had an extremely interesting strategy for Scott Fishbowl, and we went back and looked, and I think there were 2 other people, so 3 of you all together that took this strategy. So it's not like you're the only one that came up with this, but at the same time, I wanted to have an episode where I got to talk a little Scott Fishbowl anyway, just to kind of support the idea and the theory, or the whole basis of Scott Fishbowl in and of itself, which is obviously an incredible effort by Scott and Ryan and their team, but very basically, when I saw all the heat that you were taking for this strategy, I felt like I felt bad for you, man, because in my mind, here's my thinking: like it's all for fun, and this is your team. You should be allowed to run it however you want, right? So I guess real quick, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of this strategy that I'm talking about?
Well, basically, it's what I call literal zero RB. There's a lot of things going on with names around zero RB that are controversial, so to speak. And I wasn't even planning to go completely no RBs when I went into this. But it kind of just turned out that way. It's a zero RB is a general strategy I've followed for several years now. I thought it was crazy at first, but now it's basically my go-to strategy for most drafts.
Okay, so most drafts, so you do actually use this strategy regularly. Now, you said for most drafts, when you're doing the literal zero running back, is it literally all 18 rounds or?
No, I'm saying, I use the zero RB strategy generally. This is the first time I've ever drafted a team with no running backs at all.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, well, I want to share the screen here to the YouTube viewers so they can see. Of course, now.
Gotta refresh it.
Going to do this to me. Which, by the way, we want to. We also want to give a shout out to. What is going on? Oh, okay. Yeah, we also want to give a shout out to Josh ADHD for what he did with this site, man. It was pretty awesome. Always helpful. All right. So here is Eric's team. He and I both drafted out of the 8 spot. And if you take a look, just like he's talking about, it's 22 rounds and he went with 0 running backs, not a single running back. So here's my question to you. I'm assuming that a part of this thinking, obviously, is that you're going to hit some running backs on the waiver wire. But it seems to me in Scott Fishbowl past that the waiver wire is extremely competitive. It might be pretty tough to get those top running backs. I mean, is that really your sole plan? Because we can't trade in this league.
Right. And, I mean, going back to the whole strategy of it, with the zero RB strategy, the basis of it is that running backs are fragile. And especially in this format, you only have to start 2 running backs, and there's a ton of flexes. So I want to start as many wide receivers as possible and or tight ends with the tight end premium scoring. So literally, I want to score most of my points from those flex spots. And I'm planning on getting, if I have to scrape by with a couple scrub running backs that get me a few points each week, I'm fine with that. I'm fine to scrape the bottom of the barrel of the waiver wire. Last year, I drafted out of the 1 spot and started with Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, we know what happened to him last year. I was lucky enough to get Mike Davis off the waiver wire, which helped me get into the playoffs last year. I didn't go this kind of strategy last year. Obviously, I started with a running back. But yeah, I'm probably not going to blow all of my fab right out of the gate, because we're not sure who's going to be what. But I might just stream running backs for a few weeks if I have to. Hope one of them hits.
Right. Yeah. No, and I mean, so I guess, all right. The wide receiver aspect of it, I love how deep you went with the wide receivers, and you're going to be starting 7 of these. One question I have, a lot of these wide receivers, though, are guys you're not going to really know if they're going to be able to hit from week to week. They're not all DK Metcalf and CeeDee Lambs that we're pretty confident in, or even T. Higgins. It might be that Chase Claypool 4-touchdown game, or it might be that Chase Claypool 2-catch 20-yard game. You're giving yourself a huge headache from week to week trying to figure out who to start. But that's also going to be a lot of fun, trying to determine. Yeah,
and I've got to be honest, I really like my tight ends as well, and you could use the tight ends in the flex as well. I'll have no problem throwing Goddard or Ingram in there, So
yeah, you can start up 5. Yeah, that's true. You can start up 5 tight ends for sure. Okay, so all right. Well, let me get to the listener questions because let's see. Well, one of them was Josh Crocker. We already hit that, the waiver wire. So this is definitely a strategy that you're confident that you're going to some games, and not just that you were seeking some kind of attention here.
No. And that was a funny part. I'm in a couple of communities, fantasy football communities, and at the beginning of Scott Fish Bowl, my goal was to, if you look at that Josh ADHD's app, there's a latest RB1 drafted little block, and my goal was to get my name on there. I just wanted to get my name on there. It was something I wanted to do. I was planning on drafting running backs. I think last year it was round 15 or 16 that Anthony Amico drafted the last RB1. So I was like, you know what? I'll go 17. I'll go 18. I'll draft a running back. But the funny part was there was about 5 or 6 people that were all waiting to draft a running back. And I was willing to outweight all of them. Because I wanted, I really got into it. After like 12, 13 rounds, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just go for it. Not care about running back, see what happens. And then Anthony, who I talk to all the time, he was like, I'm not drafting a running back. I'm not drafting. And then the guy that won, Seth, I know him, and he was the first one to give in. And then the other guy, what was his name? Estridge. Andy Estridge was the other guy that went literal 0 RB, me, him, and Anthony. And to me, it's, again, like you said, it's just for fun. This whole league is just for fun. I do want to win it. Of course, I want to try to get as far as I can because, I waited 3-4 years to get into this league. And I got in last year for the first time. And yeah, of course I want to do well. I made the playoffs last year. I was psyched about that. But then once I got into it, I just got more excited about doing it. And then I was like, you know what? When I got to like round 18, I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to draft a running back. At this point, the guys I'm drafting now are the same as the guys I'm going to get off the waiver wire in week 1. So why worry about it now? And I was like, you know what? I just want to be the first guy to ever do it, And after I posted, I was posting about it as I was getting near the end, and then posted the final one, final draft pick, and people were, calling me out saying, oh, I'm just looking for attention. I was not looking for attention at all. I was hoping like my few friends on Twitter would see it and make a joke about it, or make fun of me. And they called me chasing clout, and I'm like, what clout do I have? I'm not famous. No one's calling me to ask me to do like be on NBC or anything. So It was funny. I was not in it for attention at all.
Yeah, you weren't in it for attention, but now here you are on the big time Toilets and Titles.
Yeah, yeah.
And all 40 viewers that we're going to get.
Oh, I'll get you some viewers. Don't worry. With my clout.
Hey, so this brings me to my next question. This comment down here at the bottom, John just flat out says balls. And I did have a guy that asked me to ask you because he had heard rumors that it cost a lot of money for that custom sling to carry around those cojones. He wants to know where to get one of those.
That's a proprietary design that I worked on myself. I'm a part-time engineer, so I'm looking at getting the website up, and we'll pass it along to you as soon as I have it.
Right on. We'll advertise the prototypes for you. And yeah, John, of course I was going to show off my my draft for a little bit. I had to flash it up there real quick. But we're not talking about mine. Plus, I have to refresh it. Otherwise, I would go back and talk more about mine. Okay, so I had another question in mind that popped up while we were talking, and I completely forget what it was. This happens to me all the time. But oh yeah, your running backs. Are you confident in those? I mean, not running backs. Your quarterbacks. Are you confident in those quarterbacks? Joe Burrow coming off his injury. Like, I know he's been cleared for OTA or for camp, and but still, that was a pretty severe injury. And then Jalen Hurts, they're already talking like they want Watson to come to Philly or something. And then Daniel Jones with all those turnovers. Is your plan also maybe to only start one quarterback?
No, I plan on starting two. I made a decision that I wanted a tight end first round. If Kelsey fell to me, I was grabbing Kelsey. If Waller fell to me, I was grabbing Waller. And that's what I got. And I knew that by doing that, I would have to give up that elite quarterback value. And I was still hopeful that, Russell Wilson might fall to me. He did not. So I went with, in my opinion, I love Joe Burrow this year. That offense is going to be really strong. He might take a little off of his rushing upside with the injury last year. He might be a little tentative with that, but I'm confident in that overall offense. Jalen Hurts, yeah, that was kind of a panic pick at the time because I wanted another rushing quarterback, and they were flying off the board. We were hitting that next tier, and he was at the bottom of that tier, so I was like, let me grab him. Honestly, 10th round Daniel Jones, I am pumped about getting Daniel Jones there. I might feel more confident right now in Daniel Jones than Jalen Hurts. Yes, turnovers, but I think those are due to variance. I think he'll get better this year with that. Plus, he's got the rushing upside. People forget that he has really good at rushing upside. He ran, I think, 100 times last year. So I feel confident in all three. I'll probably start Burrow and Jones week 1 and just flip them as the matchups come.
And your Traquan Smith already took a bump with Thomas being out. And then I really like this one right here, CJ Uzoma. The guys in my Fusion chat will know this is one of the tight ends I've been touting because that first game and a half last season, dude looked incredible, and he was Joe Burrow's #1 target for the majority of that time. And he actually looked really incredible, but then he had that early injury and he was out. Then the backup tight ends came in and actually played pretty respectably. So that's just kind of a deep dive guy that you took that I kind of really like. I took him in Scott Fishbowl as well. And
he adds to my. I was trying to build a couple of stacks, and I kind of have a skinny stack with Daniel Jones and Evan Ingram, and then I have the Cincinnati stack with basically everybody but Jamar Chase. So he just added that end of the draft stack equity there.
Right on. Very good. Well, like I said, this topic was pretty heavy in a couple of my group league chats, or not even league chats, but just general fantasy football chats I'm in. So people were asking questions about this guy and this guy, and I thought, man, it's kind of unfair. We're all talking about him behind his back. Let's get this guy on the screen and let this guy put a name to the face and a face to the name and explain himself. So I'm really thankful you were able to come on. And thanks again to Scott Fish and Ryan McDowell for all the work you do. We over at Toilets and Titles, we've done several things to try to help raise different amounts of money for different charities to help out when and where we can, and that's all in honor of this whole big community, which is Scott Fish Bowl and fantasy football in general. So, Eric, I appreciate your time. This was just designed to be a quick 10-minute bathroom break episode, and we're already at 15. So I'll let you go, man. But we will definitely stay in touch. But I appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Right on.